There it is. 98.6% complete. Yeah, that's scientific. But this side is complete. Apron on. When you saw the last video when I was removing the clamps, it was this side right here. But all of the planing done. Squared, surfaced. It is flat to the hand, which is telling. If you can't feel any imperfections in your hand, that is good. Boiled linseed oil. Treated on this side, and the legs you can kind of see. I wanted to show you kind of the contrast before and after. But isn't that beautiful? Rock solid. I noticed when I was chiseling out the apron on the other side, I was working on this side of the bench, and it was just amazing how solid it was on the chisel, how much further the chisel bit down in there. Can you guess where we're at? We're underneath the bench. We're going to secure the tabletops, the big laminated sections, to the frame. We got the bolt that we showed there in the previous video with these beautiful big brass bronze screws. And those are going to go up into the bench about 3 inches or so. I've pre-drilled all these. And these are, it's nice to use these screws, one because they're so strong, and they're of a softer metal than a steel. So, not that there's any chance of a chisel going through and hitting one of these, but you know, as the years go by and you continue to plane the bench down to smooth it out from time to time, it won't be in my lifetime, but anyway, one of those things. I don't know how necessary it is. So double screws here on both of them, and that's really nice. These will have to come out if I ever transport the bench. So the very last thing we need to secure is the well board in the center right here. I'm going to use the same screws, but just a smaller version of them. They'll go up through the bearer here and then hold this down. So the final height came out to 40 inches. It's actually 40 and a quarter. I don't know why. 40 and a quarter, that's what I ended up with. And I really like it. It feels good for me to plane on, to work on. It really, as I've been kind of working on it, I've really enjoyed it. Chiseling, it's really good when I'm sitting on my stool, and I really like the 40 inches. Not too tall at all, I think it's just right. So, we'll go ahead and we'll start planing this whole thing down here until we're flush with our tabletop. So on this initial pass, I'm planing against the grain. What that does is that it pulls the plane down into the wood, and you get these great big heavy shavings. It doesn't leave a smooth finish. It tears out a little bit of the wood, but I've got so much to get down that I'll do this to speed it up. Now when I'm really close, within like a 30-second or so, I'll come back around and I'll plane with the grain, and that'll smooth everything out. So here you can see we're really close now, just maybe a 32nd of an inch above. Now we'll go back around and we'll plane back the other way with the grain, being really careful and using the table as a guide, and we'll just plane that right off there, perfectly flat. We want a nice square 90-degree corner right there. That is it. That's perfectly flush. A smooth running plane with a sharp blade is a pleasure beyond a pleasure. That's just something that I've never experienced before. And You know, the interesting thing to me is that this is not really this is not a real good plane. This is just really an entry level, kind of a handyman special type of plane. I can't imagine what it's like to use one that was really designed for professionals, you know, highest quality, because this, I just don't have anything to compare it with, but this is a wonderful tool. Just something that I'm just using all the time. I would say that for a traditional carpenter, without a doubt, that, I mean, it's just an essential tool. It's just a must-have, as important as your hands. So you can see here, we're close-up view. We are level, flush, I mean. So this side, this is the first side that I laminated here, and it wasn't as good. I learned a lot from the second one. It's got a few cracks in it. This one, on the other hand, the second one that I laminated, is actually really good. A few little issues, but all things being considered, it's really, really nice. This is the side I'm going to put my vise on. So because the plane is so sharp and just cut so well, I don't have to start with like an 80 grit or 60, you know, real gnarly sandpaper. It's just so smooth. I'll start with a 220. Now, when we want this table to be absolutely flat, we don't want to use a short sanding disc. What happens with a short sanding disc is you get the waves, a lot of waves like this. Every time it hits a little dip, it puts the one side down, which cuts, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. If you've ever tried to do final grading with a short cat or a dozer, you'll find out, compared to doing grading with a long grater. So what we want to do is use a long sanding disc. That's why auto body guys, they use long boards when they're doing body work that needs to be really clean, because or really straight, because it evens out those highs and the lows. So a nice long sanding pad like these is what I'll use. So another good thing for the adhesive back sandpaper that I'm so much of a fan of is that you can just simply peel it off your reels and stick it on there. Like that. Makes your work a lot simpler. So if you don't have adhesive sandpaper and you've just got the sheets of sandpaper, that's alright. So I'll just lay my sander on here, draw a line there. I dare anyone to come up with an older pair of scissors than these, huh? Do you have any scissors that old? Quality. Still. Abused, still sharp. They probably belong to my dad's dad, my granddad. I don't know. They look pretty old, but they're good for sandpaper. All right, so what we can do is we can spray a little adhesive. I like to have this 3M adhesive around. It's so good for so many things. Just a little. Doesn't take very much. That was just about had it. Just a couple little spots like that, and then we can stick that on there. Let it sit for 30 seconds, and that will be stuck on there good.
Beautiful, isn't it, Father?
It's beautiful.
So what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to build stuff.
Have you been thinking about Christmas presents?
I'm always thinking about Christmas presents.
Have you been making one for Mama?
I already made one for Mama.
Can I see it?
No. What I want you to do is I want you to take your hands and coat it, and don't let it slip over the sides, but just bringing it back in. But just start working it all the way across the bench. Filling in all the little cracks and crevices. Keep pushing it towards me. Yeah, there is real boiled linseed oil. And I've heard that there's someone making it, selling it on the internet now, but I have never ordered any. But when I run out to this, I'm going to look into it. Looks like we're all pretty well coated.
Yep.
So Merry Christmas. My gift to you is the final episode, the completed bench. 14 parts. Is that what it was? 14 parts, I think, at Rainier. I couldn't be happier with it. Is there room for improvement? Lots of different areas, yeah. I learned a lot about it, but it was a great experience building this all by hand with hand tools, less the cordless drill, from a stack of framing lumber, just 2x6s and a couple of 4x6s from Home Depot. It's a sense of accomplishment, and it is an heirloom item that I will use for the rest of my life, and I will have tremendous amount of joy every time I use it. I'm glad. It's times now, it's difficult through the process when you're struggling through it and it's so much work, and you keep looking over at the power tools and thinking, oh, I could cut all these square ends and get this done so quickly. But to fight that urge and to go back and to stay focused and stay resolved to use the hand tools. And now, it's just so much more rewarding to be able to know that I've done that. And I have really gained an appreciation for hand tools that I hadn't really had before. The plane is the main thing. I've spent hours and hours, and I've got lots of shavings on the floor to prove it. What a wonderful tool that is, and I'm looking forward to doing more with it. I found myself, whenever I needed little pieces made, like the little wedges and such, I'd clamp those up in the vise, and rather than use a saw, I've just used the plane, and I understood how to use it, and it was working well, and it's super sharp, and I just shaved that off really quick. Just a great experience. So I'm looking forward to getting into traditional woodworking, and I hope to do a lot of projects in the future on this bench. So the only thing left is the vise. And I'll share installing the vise. That will be coming too. That's another important part of the bench. But Merry Christmas to me, huh, Jack?
Yeah.
Should we get to work on it?
Yep.
Let's see if we can build Mom a Christmas gift.
Got longer strokes.
Longer strokes, and keep working. Round and round. Use your hatchet, small hatchet. So hold it here like this to protect your hand, and just like the draw knife, it's like that. I think it'll work here.
Wait, that's the tree?
All right, so we need to choose, what size do you think? Probably about this size?
Yeah.
All right, let's check our depth. We want to be careful not to go into too far and go into our new bench. We'll whittle these down to a little bit of a point.
I ate really much. I used that little job with the saw, the little knife. I need to pick the best side.
Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. Early in the morning, our song shall rise to Thee.
I made this for Mama. Happy Christmas, and may God bless all of you.